Hello and welcome to the Feminist Frequency Star Trek podcast, all about Star Trek Picard. I am leading cybernetic scientist Anita Sarkeesian, and joining me on an adventure to fight this weird Romulan conspiracy is Commodore Ebony Adams.
Hey!
We are so excited to talk about episodes 2 and 3 of Star Trek Picard, and to join us in our space trailer is very special guest Sarah Gulde. Say hi.
Hi.
You should remember Sarah from the time she came on the Star Trek Discovery podcast in our second season to clean up all of our mistakes, because Ebony and I don't know shit, and
we
Sarah's
really
amazing.
Don't. And we haven't been taken off the air somehow.
Anyways, we're so excited to have you, Sarah.
Thank you. I'm so excited to talk about Picard.
All right, Ebony, you want to give us a little quick rundown of these two episodes?
Yeah, this is going to be great because I didn't do like an official recap. I didn't pre-write it. So let's see what I remember. So basically, we learn about the existence of not just like Romulan secret police, but like super, super secret police. And this ancient, vast, powerful cabal that takes as its kind of uniting mission the extermination of all synthetic life, because there's this deep loathing for the AI abomination. We learn of the existence of this group. We get a little bit more about Soji and what she's doing on this Romulan cube, the reclamation of folks, life forms that had been assimilated into the Borg. We see her getting busy with this Romulan dude. I was not into that. And then we finally see Picard's crew come together in episode 3.
Is Narek the Tyler of Picard?
And then I'm deeply uninterested.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was this
kind of attractive, but not really. Well, just
so
kind of sleazy.
When people are like, "Oh God, he's beautiful," like I never thought I would see a hot Romulan, and I'm like, "You still haven't.
Also,
this dude is not hot."
Same reaction, but also then I was like, "That's such a fucked up thing to say."
Yeah,
like it would be like being like, "I've never seen a hot Asian person," and you're like, "What the fuck?"
It's very interesting that line actually comes from a black woman too, but we'll get into it. Anyways, these two episodes are very exposition heavy, which I respect because they're laying the groundwork, I think, for a very large and complicated and dense narrative in this show. And frankly, I'm here for it already. Like, we're 3 episodes in. I want this show to be on the air for roughly 17 seasons. I don't care what they do. I don't care how they get there. So I'm ready to wade through the exposition because, I mean, to me anyway, I would say, like, let's be honest, episode 2 was kind of sluggish, but then 3 ramps it up again. So I'm here for it.
So Sarah, you are joining us on the Picard podcast for the first time. So I'd love your initial thoughts because this is such a sort of revelatory Star Trek that everyone has been excited about. And so please.
Yeah. So I've been waiting to kind of pass judgment until after this episode, because really these first 3 episodes are supposed to be like the pilot.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that's why the second episode was a little bit slower. That was kind of the act 2. And then act 3, we had all this action. I'm really excited to see where they go because they're taking everything away from Jean-Luc.
Yeah.
They've taken away his reputation. He's losing control of his emotions.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to die pretty soon. We don't know when. I guess they're going to probably keep pushing that out for however many seasons they want to do the show.
That's exactly what I was thinking when they said that. Yeah.
But we get to see what he's going to do when he's not held back by things like his duty to Starfleet and, staying alive and all of that. So he can do anything now. This is great.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that they've taken everything from him. And you mentioned, they've taken like the crew that we've grown to know and love. And, Starfleet, he's taken his commission from him. One of the things that, oh God, when you mentioned like his maybe imminent death, I hope not, but I think they very smartly planned for the fact that Patrick Stewart as a person is 79 years old. He's not going to be around forever. But the reckoning that Picard has to do in this episode with his decreasing mental acuity really hit me. One of the things that I have loved about Captain Picard as a character is just his sharpness of mind. And so to have like kind of diffidence about his decision making, to not be in all times and in all areas the authoritative, kind of character that I have grown to adore, really just, unsettled me in this. And I was just like, you know what, when something finally does happen to Patrick Stewart and then consequently to the character of Jean-Luc Picard, I just don't want to know about it. I need someone to like text me and be like, Ebony, turn off the internet for like 6 months, and then slowly get me prepared, because I'm not going to be able to handle it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm serious.
They've always used him losing control of his emotions to have a really big impact in Next Generation. I'm thinking specifically the episode where he's back on the vineyard and he has it out with his brother.
Yeah.
And also in First Contact when he loses it with Alfre Woodard.
Right.
Like, those have been huge things. And now this is going to be happening more and more and more.
Yeah, it's not a temporary situation, right? It's not, like purely contextual or situational. This is the normal state of affairs now.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like as we had previously talked about, I was very excited about the pilot. Mm-hmm. And then the second episode, I was like, this is not holding up. Or the first episode, and then the second episode. And then the third one, I was like, okay, where I'm landing right now with all of this, I think 3 episodes is a good chunk of time. And like you both were talking about, it feels like this is a 3-episode pilot, right? Mm-hmm. That this is setting it all up. I don't particularly like that model of like, cool, how much exposition, like I accepted a lot of exposition in the first episode so that we could just get going. And I'm kind of like, can we just get going already? So I'm not like, hey, I'm not interested anymore, because I am, but I'm a little bit wary. Partly because I'm not fully on board with what the story is. Like, the more exposition they give us and the more backstory they give us, like, they've clearly done a lot of work to create this very intricate time period of like what has happened over the last 14 years and how it all influences the actions and activity currently happening. But like, the conspiracy theory is so deep and so contrived in a way that I'm like struggling a little bit to get on board. Like, I'm giving this show so much benefit of the doubt, and I'm trying really hard to be like, it's fine. But I'm like, oh, there's a secret police, and then there's a secret police, and then, oh, there's like this ancient mythology that they fucking hate androids and synthetics, and then, oh, there's these secret synthetics, and like, oh, there's 2, they have to be twins, weirdly. You know what I mean? Like, when you kind of say it all out, you're like, this is a little banana soup.
Yeah, and I was like, put it right into my veins. I want it. I want more of it.
Well, and the thing about, this type of story is that it has to pay off. So it's a mystery, and we're every week gonna be like learning a little bit more and working towards this big reveal at the end. And like, is the reveal gonna be worth it?
Yeah.
And that's not to say it's not going to be, but it couldn't be easy to fail. Like, it can be easy to do that poorly.
Sarah, what are your thoughts on like the kind of our sense of what the overarching plot of the show is going to be like? Where are you landing on it? Like, the Romulan conspiracy, the kind of questions about the nature of life and, sentience and, who deserves rights and the whole thing. Like, where are you landing so far?
I'm thinking they're not going to wrap this all up in 7 more episodes.
Hell no.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking a lot of this is going to have to go on into season 2. Because, there is so much going on. And they're making this like real life, and real life doesn't get solved that easily.
Yeah, and I'm actually, I want more of what you were just talking about, Ebony, with what is life? Mm-hmm. What is sentience? Who gets rights? Who doesn't get rights? Like, that shit is my jam. I love it. It's the whole conspiracy theory part of like the extra special evil Romulans. Like,
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I am delighted by that stuff. The cheesier, the better.
Look, I'm okay with being like, Starfleet and the Federation is an evolving organization that has been around forever, and that they are run by humans and other aliens that are not perfect and flawed, and therefore it would make sense that at some point there would be a high-level conspiracy theory or cover-up or whatever. But it just doesn't feel like Star Trek to me, And like, that's okay, but it's a little bit like, I'm having a hard time buying Commander O being like, bought into this Romulan conspiracy to whatever it is, that there was an internal support for the mass genocide on Mars, or like the mass destruction of Mars. Like, it just makes me sad.
I want to follow that up, but can I just stop to take a minute and say, with Commander O, with Admiral Clancy, with Rafi, there's someone else. Is it Laris? Or is Laris the other one, the Romulan?
Laris is the one who helps Picard.
Right. Okay, so I just want to talk about the fact that I believe we have more women over 50 in this show than under 50, and I am fucking here for it. Like, when you think about, the side characters, people who may wind up becoming more important later on, we don't know, but you are at this point more likely to be introduced to someone new and have that person be a woman of a certain age. And I think that is fucking fantastic,
that is
right?
Really good.
And it is radical, and it is new, and it is amazing, and it makes so much sense given what we are told about the universe of the 24th century, that would be the case, but every time someone new came on the screen, and it was someone like Tamlin Tomita, which, again, just, it's like the show is packaged just right for me. I could look at her for 30 hours a day. I was just like, yeah, of course. Like the decision makers and, pilots and just badasses who live in like the middle of the desert and just drink wine when people bring it to them. I'm so here for it. But yeah, in terms of like the kind of like spider web of political intrigue and whatever, it happens to be my jam. I love media that kind of confirms my own paranoia about huge governmental bodies watching us at all times and, making us behave like puppets. So I'm here for it.
Okay. Am I the only one here who thinks that O is actually a Romulan masquerading as a Vulcan?
Oh, no, that is also my thought.
Okay.
And I thought that maybe the show was leading us to think that, because I don't know. It didn't seem like it doesn't seem like that far-fetched.
That did not occur to me at all. But when you said it, I was like, oh, could be.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
I guess like the minute she is talking to Lieutenant Rizzo, and it's revealed that they're both in on it, and then Rizzo is revealed to be a Romulan with her round ear disguise. I was like, oh yeah, okay, clearly Commodore O.
I think it would be more interesting though if Commodore O was a Vulcan that their internal logic is that synthetics are evil, and was then recruited by the Romulans to do this work of.
Well, I mean, like, there's all that history, like, because the Romulans and Vulcans diverge at some point, right? But there are those groups that have constantly been in contact, right? I mean, we have that huge narrative arc in TNG where, there's this attempt to reconcile the two groups. And maybe like this is just the modern manifestation of a really radical arm of that. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. I want to talk a little bit about Rafi. First,
oh yes.
This one thing. So Ebony and I, we talked on the Discovery podcast about the use of the name Michael for Michael Burnham. It is in current times, it is a stereotypically male name. That is not one of the names that kind of can go cross genders and socially acceptable, right? And we talked a little bit about how it's like cool kid, tomboy, blah blah blah. So I'm curious about the choice of Rafi as a name here too, doing the same thing. And it wouldn't have struck me if we didn't get the opposite of like quote unquote female names attached to male characters.
Hi folks, Carolyn here. Hope you're enjoying the return of Feminist Frequency's Star Trek podcast. Consider beaming yourself over to patreon.com/femfreak and joining our podcast community. We'll have the replicator whip up a cup of Earl Grey for you.
So, what I want to talk about in terms of Rafi, don't give a shit about her name, care deeply about her lifestyle out in the desert. Vasquez rocks. My Star Trek heads know what's cool about that, but I want to talk about that space trailer and her space vape and her space witch botany energy.
She has space vape.
Yeah.
I lost my shit. She picked off a petal from a plant.
I thought she was pruning that shit. She put it in a vape and she smoked it. Listen, you got here is a middle-aged black woman whose hair looks fantastic. I'm not gonna lie, my hair game's not even close. If I had hair like Michelle Hurd, I would walk around with a wind machine. Y'all would not be able to deal with my shit. Anyways, but I'm like, how is this not my life? She lives in the desert. You literally have to take like a pod to visit her, like a shuttle to visit her out in the desert. She's got this great trailer. She's got like her hippy dippy, like lanterny shit. She's got a little spray bottle. She's spraying her weed, her space weed. She smokes up. It's giving her a little paranoia, but it's all good because every so often your old friend JL comes by, hips you.
Apparently he doesn't. Fucker. He just abandoned her. What a dick.
Yeah, but
can we talk about how he's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
Before we get there, I will say that a friend that I only have to talk to once every 14 years is the ideal amount of time I want to talk to people.
You're going to have to talk to me more than once every 14 years because I'm going to get a trailer like 5 miles away from you when we're old. Let's say 10 miles.
Yeah, okay. And also,
I don't want to see you.
I don't want to see you either.
I want to like be able to walk over to you though, or
please believe
shuttle over.
That if we live out in the middle of nowhere, even if we're 10 miles apart, and even if I have not seen anyone for 14 years, if you knock on my space trailer space door and I'm not expecting you, I will not open that door. You will see me in my house. You will see me in my house looking out the window and just not shaking my head no.
Noted.
Yeah.
Whatever. Sarah will live near me.
Sarah would definitely live near you, and she would keep you on the straight track, which is what you're going to need when you're living out in the middle of nowhere and, just going about your weird lady shit.
I'm just going to copy all of her fashion. Because every time I see Sarah, I'm like, oh, I want that. Oh, I'm going to buy that bag. Oh, I'm going to steal this. This combo of like...
I'm definitely stealing
this
all
literally
of her Star
happened
Trek t-shirts.
When we saw you, at Geek Girl Con, Ebony and I walked away and I was like, I want that outfit. Yeah. I was like, I'm going to like copy her outfit. Is that weird?
And it was weird.
Anyways, what are you thinking about Rafi, Sarah?
She's damaged. She's very angry. I mean, you're right. She has everything that any of us would be happy with, but she's so unhappy.
So you were mentioning off mic something about Will Wheaton's show about Picard and Michelle Hurd being on there and talking about like the backstory that either the writers gave her or maybe she developed in collaboration with the writers. Could you talk a little bit more about that? Because I haven't seen it's Ready Room, right? I haven't seen it. So I have not seen this episode with Michelle Hurd. But we've gotten Rafi for, 1.5 episodes. I'm fascinated by what she's going to represent to the show, to JL. And like, why does she want to get to Free Cloud? What is Free Cloud?
Yeah, so she's the interview this week on the Ready Room, which is fantastic, by the way. If you're watching Picard, you should be watching Ready Room. And she talks about how they gave her a whole backstory that she studied, and she asked them a lot of questions so she could develop her character. And her backstory is that as a child, her parents left her behind to pursue their careers off planet, and she was raised by other people. It didn't go well for her. She ended up drinking, getting some trouble, and it was really Jean-Luc who rescued her from all of that. And so she was really close to him. And then when he resigned and she got fired, he just kind of dropped her and abandoned her. And so that's why she's so angry at him. The Free Cloud part, I don't know about yet.
That shit is going to be a Ferengi gambling den.
Fingers crossed.
Into it. Yeah.
I'm gonna hate it and think it's the worst thing ever. And everyone else is going to be very excited.
Maybe it will launch and then anchor a new Star Trek experience in Las Vegas that I can go to because I miss that shit probably 3 times a week. Like I'll just randomly think about how much I miss the Star Trek experience at the Las Vegas Hilton. R.I.P.
The thing about Rafi that I'm curious about is like, what is the thing that's really really troubling her, right? It's not just that she got fired and lost her security clearance. It was something else. And you saw it because she literally says, I lost my security clearance, and then like gets choked up. Like it feels deep.
Like you think maybe it's pointing towards her having lost a someone.
Yeah.
Like maybe in the evacuation that we don't, other than being like just an amazing person who behaves the way that people should, we don't yet know why she was so devoted to the effort to get these Romulans evacuated, right? So maybe she was with someone who needed to be evacuated, or someone who was participating in that evacuation effort and then they wound up dying or something.
Or she spiraled so hard that someone important in their life left her, and they're on free cloud.
Yeah.
And they're going to chase after. I don't know. Like, I mean, that seems a little too banal, but like there's something else, and I'm curious what it is.
Me too. Although I am glad that when we first started seeing trailers for Picard and we saw Michelle Hurd, she is, I don't know how old Michelle Hurd is, early 50s or whatever. Given the way Hollywood will often put men, will link men romantically with women who are much younger, I was like, is it going to turn out that she and Picard had some sort of like romantic history? And I wasn't sure I was here for that. So I'm glad that doesn't seem to be what we're going to get.
Well, based on what Sarah was telling us earlier, it sounds like it sounds more like he was a father figure to her. And so feeling abandoned, her being like, it was 14 years, you never checked in, which Picard, like, what a dick, man.
It's not great.
Here's the thing is, I rewatched the first few episodes of TNG this week. He was a fucking asshole.
I loved it.
I don't remember him being such a dick. Like, does he soften in the rest of TNG? Do we just start to like him more? I don't know, man. But like, not talking to someone for 14 years that you were like a father figure to is fucked up. And you don't get to just say, I'm sorry, and move on.
It's true. There should be some fallout and consequences for that. Like, that's a relationship that needs repair. I don't think that it's going to be easy, that they're just going to snap to. Sarah, you mentioned something about like the garbage crew that Picard puts together. Like, they all are broken.
I don't think Sarah called it that.
No, I'm calling it the garbage crew. What Sarah said very astutely is that they're all broken in some way, or, you know, in need of something in some way. And I think this is one of the things that, like, there are things that Picard regrets. Like, he has big regrets, and I think we're going to continue to see him wrestle with those things in this show. I'm happy this show is here.
Speaking of garbage crew,
by the way, they call
don't talk
themselves
about me like
Motley
that.
Crew.
I don't know if I'm here for that. The Motley Crew.
I like garbage crew. It's like garbage dinner, you know,
The
where you
trash
take everything out of
bags.
the fridge, all the leftovers, and stick them on some nachos or whatever, and call it dinner.
Space junkers.
Space junkers. Everything with space in front of it is better.
Yeah, it's just cooler.
Space garbage.
Space garbage. Yeah.
I mean, they're kind of essentially Firefly, right? They sort of like lost.
I was totally thinking that. I love you.
She just perked up so quickly. Yeah,
I mean, totally feels like Firefly.
Yeah, listen.
I didn't like that show, just for the record, but still, it feels like that.
But like, anytime you get kind of a ragtag crew, you know, on a mission or heist or whatever against seemingly like insurmountable odds, you know, and everyone's got their own particular strength and skills. Come on. There's a reason why we keep seeing stuff like this. Like, it's great. And we get a Han Solo figure, which I know that you're not happy about. But what are you going to do? He's not hot. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, can we talk about Hot Rios? Because, look, this is the thing, is that the, like, tortured, blah, 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 whatever dude should not be an attractive figure. And all my feminism studies, blah, 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 is like, no. But the having watched this kind of media for my entire 30 plus years of life is like, he hot.
Yeah.
He's all injured, but he's like taking the pain and shit.
And just drinking some
And
whiskey
there's multiples
straight.
of him.
Yes.
There's so many of him. Although I gotta say, the British doctor version is not attractive at all to me.
Is it because his hair isn't messed up?
Yes, it's exactly.
Oh my
it's
God,
that's the
Anita,
only
you
difference.
this is so problematic. So that actor, Santiago Cabrera, I guess he was raised in I think he's of Chilean background, but I think he was also raised in London. So he comes by that accent legitimately. The Irish one, I wasn't as sure of, but I was so happy he was there because I really was like, okay, this is just delightful and funny and kind of like that light touch that Star Trek does. Like, occasionally things are just, it's not, you know, some world changing element happening in every single scene. Sometimes it's just people being funny, you know, and that seemed like one of them. And so I hope we do get there's emergency medical hologram, emergency navigational hologram.
The medical
Maybe
hologram made me so happy.
Emergency cooking hologram, and everybody's got a different accent.
Shout
I
out
think
Voyager.
that's hilarious.
Y'all can go fucking die with your
Eat
Voyager hate.
It.
I have a surprise for you, though.
What is it?
I started watching Deep Space Nine.
Really?
Yeah.
How far have you
I
gotten?
did it for you.
Oh, Anita.
I know.
Y'all, I'm feeling real human emotion about this. I I love this.
Yeah, we'll go into that a little bit later.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to give you that surprise. I don't know why I did it right now in the
lovely.
middle of this conversation.
I know, I can't handle it. I need to process this.
So for new listeners, I don't like Deep Space Nine. I had such a hard time getting into it and never did. And I was like, I really need to just try this. I need to give it another shot. So more on that in a future episode.
Okay.
But speaking of garbage humans, let's talk about Narek.
Yeah.
Sarah,
I
what are
feel
your
like
thoughts?
He's such a jerk, and I feel like he's going to get a redemption arc.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
He's
Which
going to
makes
fall in
me
love
mad.
with her. Like, for real, not just pretend.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be boring as fuck.
Yeah, and we're just gonna get more sexual sibling energy that I'm not here for. And the sisters, the sister's attitude towards him and antipathy towards his relationship, with Soji is going to be, coded in even more sexual terms, like jealousy. It's going to be framed in a much more jealous way than it already has been. And I just don't care. I don't care. And it's gross.
It's weird how much all of this stuff happening with Soji on the Borg cube is not nearly as interesting as like building this ragtag team to figure out who she is and where she is. Like the build up towards her is so much more interesting to me. And every time we go there, and I think it's because Soji's fine. I don't feel strongly about her yet. I thought that the stuff around Ramda was the most interesting part so far on the ship. Like everything else just doesn't make sense to me. Like the chemistry between her and Narek don't make sense.
Because it doesn't exist.
The fact that she confides in him all of this shit and then he's like, I'm in love with you. And you're like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like, what?
Yeah, no, the Ramda stuff was definitely more interesting. And I do want some of those space tarot cards she has because those were dope.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that's interesting here is that Soji gets called the Destroyer. Right? And I'm wondering if that is a prophecy that is widely known within Romulan society, or if that's something that is specific to, obviously Ramda knows that. And so anyone connected, all the Romulans connected to Borg Romulan hybrids or whatever would know. But like, is it something that the Zhat Vash believed exclusively? Is it something Romulans believe generally? Because like she's not gonna be able to work on that ship if every Romulan hears about what happened and that she's like this prophecy come to doom them or what have you. And I'm assuming it's some kind of doom towards the Romulans.
I kind of feel like Picard's Romulan friends might have said something.
Yeah.
Oh, they would have reacted when he said the Destroyer.
Yeah.
You're right.
Unless they're deep undercover Kool-Aid.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
It's like the fucking inception of Romulan secret police.
I am so excited for like the double cross. It's just, I'm guessing that it's going to be like, what was that shitty book? The Da Vinci Code, where it's like, I can't even, because I did not care, like the blood of Christ, but it turns out it was Christ's daughter or something, or descendant was a woman. Fuck you. If it's a spoiler for you, I don't care. This movie is old enough, and the book and the movie have been out long enough now. But it's going to be like, if you're part of the secret society, then yeah, there are legends and myths within that secret society. That's the sense that I got. Not that it would be a, like cross-cultural Romulan.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait, is that why the Zhat Vash hate synthetics because of this mythology or this prophecy of the synthetic destroyer?
Makes sense.
Oh, did you just bust this wide open?
I totally did. Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up for the week because it's not going to get
That's
better.
what happens when we have this conversation twice in a row. You don't need to know what that means. It's fine. We totally didn't fuck
You don't
up
need
the
to know
tech
how
or
to,
anything.
that's
It's
right,
fine.
how we make the sausage.
What else sticks out at you, Sarah, about these two episodes?
I liked seeing Hugh again. He looks really different than he did in
seeing
TNG.
Wait a minute. When did we see Q?
Hugh is the director at the Artifact, the former Borg.
Oh, Q.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I didn't even make that connection. I know, Ebony and I both thought you said Q, and we were like, wait a second.
I was like, I did not walk away from the screen one time. What the fuck? I thought maybe you were on some alternate timeline and you'd actually seen like episode 4, and I was gonna be like, shut it down. We got to go watch it right now.
Dude, if they brought Q, that would just be extra. That would be
fingers crossed
bonkers
for season
extra.
2.
Oh,
I'm still waiting for 7 of 9, man.
Yeah, me too.
I'm just so excited to see her on how she's gonna play into all of this.
me too. And I want to see, Riker again, Troy, Geordi. Like, they don't have to stick around forever, but I want to see them again. I want to see their sweet faces.
I want 7 of 9 to stick around forever.
Yeah, she can stick around.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, good. You can't have her. She's mine.
shut up. I can have what I want.
All right, what else?
So yeah, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was like the nature of synthetics, or rather like the way they're composed and the way we're meant to understand them and the way that we're meant to understand that they're being perceived in universe. And I just thought it was really interesting that, what we don't get, like we aren't introduced to synthetics other than Daj and Soji. We aren't introduced to synthetics who are operating at like a high level. Like they're not, scientists, or they're not performing, like they're not diplomatic droids or something, right? But they're performing manual labor, which is precisely the ways that we would use synthetic life forms. And that, the tension that we see between two populations is between the working class and what is essentially a slave class here. I found it very interesting that at the beginning we see this working class crew, this multiracial working class crew that is very dismissive of and, disrespectful towards this synthetic creature, human. I don't know what language I want to land on. But I find that very interesting. And I think that I hope that the show will continue to show us these things because, there's a way in which, like, if you are living a kind of marginal life, if you have a relatively low social status, then it is very important to you that you assert what little status you do have over the people who are below you, So, like, I think it's a very sophisticated, perhaps argument that we're going to get about the role that synthetics play in the universe of the 24th century, like within the Federation. So I'm here for it. I was not, as here for like the first image of, like this black foreman, kind of calling his very pale white crew to account of, pale white crew of synthetics, just because it seemed like the visual contrast was kind of a gimme. Like the point of it was, like to highlight the contrast, like this guy is not much better than them, But anyways, just waiting to see how that plays out. I want to know more about why, because it seemed to come out of nowhere as far as we're concerned, right?
Actually, I was really interested that they have a whole working class of synths because the climax of the episode Measure of a Man that had Bruce Maddox in it was that you can't go replicate data because you'll end up with a slave race.
Right.
And that's exactly what they seem to have. And I think a big thing this show is doing is setting this up to be a time in which Starfleet has lost its direction and the Federation has lost its moral compass. And I think I think, Anita, you were saying earlier off microphone that this didn't feel very Star Trek to you, but I feel like they're going to turn it around the way they did with Discovery at the end and have that turnaround be the Star Trek part of it and have Picard force the Federation to find its way again.
Yeah, I was just saying that, like, there's a part of me that is kind of hurt and sad that Starfleet becomes corrupt, and that doesn't feel like Star Trek to me. But also, like, what a great story!
Right.
Like, what a great story to tell.
Right.
And so, yeah, I feel like it is still through and through Star Trek, and that, like you're saying, Sarah, that will definitely bring that around.
Yeah, I feel like it's a very direct message to us at our point in time.
I was thinking about how Soji calls her weird fake mom and is like, hey, what's happening with my sister? And her mom's like, she wants to buy a puppy. Isn't that sweet? And then she passes out. Like, we're thinking about this whole conspiracy theory around the Romulans trying to get this information from her and also destroy her. Don't know what that information is. But who is actually controlling Soji? I think that just hasn't occurred to me yet, of like, who is doing this elaborate work to control her or to keep her docile, or like, she's only been around for 3 years.
Well, isn't the suggestion that it was Bruce?
Right, it is. But also, like, so this call, that's probably not a real person, or it is a real person who's in on it. Like, I have so many questions, which is the whole point. I know that they're setting up, but I'm like, what? I don't know what my question is. What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have
don't
no
know.
answers. I guess that's my point.
Yeah.
I have no answers.
So there were two lines. There are two moments of performance from Picard that really like were emotional and hit me. And the first one I probably brought up, where he says in the very first episode at the very beginning, he says, "I don't want the game to end." Right, because he doesn't want to stop playing with Data. And I just like, I totally almost started crying. I was like, ugh. And then he does another one really similarly and just with so much depth, where he says, "I tried my best to belong to this place, but I don't think I ever truly felt at home here." And I don't know why that hit, like he performed it very well, but that really hit me in terms of like belonging and home and like where what feels like home and what, you know, surrounded by who and trying your best to fit in, but realizing that that doesn't work for you. And I think there's something really, I don't know, like it's very basic, but also kind of profound about belonging, right? And like drive and passion and all of that.
Yeah, we have seen Picard wrestle in TNG with, like refusing promotions, because it seemed as if where he did feel the most at home was in command of the Enterprise, as captain of the Enterprise with that crew. He didn't want to be an admiral, in the same way that like Kirk didn't want to be an admiral. These are not desk-bound men. Like being on the ship with their crew is where they are meant to be. Like there were moments where my heartstrings got kind of pulled. So in the scene where Picard is almost begging Admiral Clancy for a ship, and he says, and I recognize that, because of everything that's happened, you might not be able to reinstate me at my former rank, so I will be happily demoted to captain, right? And you just know that, like, for him, being an admiral probably meant nothing. Like administration was not where his strengths or passion, led. Like this was an action hero of a new mold.
I do appreciate that he got called out on the deep privilege where Rafi, I think, was like, of course you thought that would be a thing you could do.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
of course you thought that they weren't going to accept like, your resignation.
Fuck? Yeah, totally. Oh, yeah, it was that scene. Mm-hmm. Right. And then I think there was also an alluding to, like, why did you go to them and tell them your entire goddamn plan? Because why did you think that they would reinstate you? Right. Like him just not quite understanding that he doesn't have the power he once had. One thing that's totally dumb, but also there's so much swearing.
Yeah, it's great.
And I was like, like my poor little heart was like, I love this.
You don't like curse words in your Star Trek?
I was just so taken aback. And like, I swear a fucking lot. It's fine. I'm here for it. But I was just had this moment of like, oh, this is a different kind of Star Trek.
There's space swears, Anita. Get over it. It's a new adult.
But it's not fake swearing. It's not frack or fork. Right. It's fuck. Like just fully.
Yeah, listen.
I'm so excited.
Fuck has been of profound utility for centuries already.
It's never going to go away.
We're not getting rid of it anytime soon.
I thought it was a lot more natural in Picard than when it was in Discovery.
I agree.
They tried it a couple times and it was just kind of jarring, but Picard, it was part of the conversation.
Yeah, and I do wonder, though, how much of that is because Discovery has kind of prepared me for the particular, like, texture of this new Star Trek, you know? So maybe, like, I was kind of prepared, like, oh, this is going to be a Star Trek with swears.
Well, I'm just saying, this is a not network program, so Free Cloud is going to get freaky. I'm just saying.
Do you think it's going to be like when Giorgio had that orgy in Discovery? You remember?
Maybe.
You know what? I'm glad I remembered that, because when Soji and Narek were like kissing and whatever, I was like, you know what? Yeah, I was like, you know what? I don't think I've ever truly been interested in a Star Trek sex scene, but that one on Discovery was a little bit spicy. I'm not gonna lie.
All right. Any last thoughts that we didn't cover before we go into our favorite segment?
Yeah, when Patrick Stewart dies, I'm gonna lose my shit. So everybody band together and keep me from the news.
Yeah, we will.
I love what Jeff Russo is doing when he mixes in the TNG theme every now and then in appropriate places.
Yes.
Makes me a little teary.
Me too.
Cool. Well, on that note, tears and all.
Yep.
Ebony.
Yes.
I would love a hair report. Can you start with Rafi?
Yeah, we can
Great.
start with Rafi and we can end with Rafi. I mean, to be
Great.
honest, but listen, Michelle Hurd is a beautiful woman, just, T to B. But that hair, whether it's in those bootleg ass ponytail braids, whether it's on her head in a, regulation top bun, whether it's loose and flowing free, that shit looks bomb. Space curls for the win. Go ahead with that 3A goodness, Michelle Hurd. You get this week's hair report prize, which is, I don't know, a clap from me. Can I do say one thing? I said I was going to end the hair report with Rafi, but really I need to say one more thing about Narek.
Also, she's 53, by the way.
Oh, God, so gorgeous.
Oh, and also, you really need to go watch Ready Room because in her interview, she talks about her hair.
Oh, okay. I'm going to watch it right after this is over. In fact, I will probably watch it as I drive home and get into a wreck. Narek. I could not figure out if his hair was a bad hairpiece, like it was sitting funny on his head. I think that's just his hair, but I think it's slightly too dark, and I don't know.
I think you just don't like him.
I don't. Like, you're for real there, but it's the distinction between his very dark hair on his head and the lighter, almost gender-tinged, scruffy beard, which I don't get that look and whatever. But I'm unhappy with his hair. Everyone else's hair, nothing to report for the week.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Of course.
Did we lose my commenting about how Narek is actually the Tyler of Picard? Tyler from Discovery. If that is still in here, then great, you get that twice. If it's not, I got to drop that bomb on y'all because he's totally the Discovery Tyler of Picard in that he's just insufferable and like kind of not really quite attractive, but like almost should be.
And yet mole-eared listeners from the first season of Discovery will recall that Anita did show a little bit of interest in Tyler when he first. Yeah,
when it first started, a little bit. I was like maybe, and then I was like, oh,
don't let this trick try and rewrite history on you. She was into.
I came around to the truth. I saw the light, Ebony.
Yeah, only because Captain Pike showed up and you were like, I'm ready to be Mrs. Pike.
Oh, Captain Pike.
Yeah.
Anyways. Love a little Captain Pike. Mm-hmm. Captain Pike's still around, right? We're gonna get him in season 2 of Discovery, right? 3, just season 3.
I heard a rumor
he didn't die or
about
anything,
a Pike
but...
show.
I don't know about that. I don't want that.
You don't?
No.
You will watch.
I
every
explained
episode.
at length in every episode of our last podcast about why Pike is a good character on this show, and you eventually agreed with me. But I don't want him to have his own damn show.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, I'll watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
and live out my wife fantasies that I don't actually have in real life.
We need to reshare that that art that the fan did of you and Pike.
Yeah, will you marrying us?
Uh-huh.
That's so good.
It was good.
All right, y'all. Ratings? Should we do ratings? I don't know how we rate 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, let's do ratings on how you are feeling about the first 3, like how you're feeling about the progress so far. And by, what's our rating scale? Like photon torpedoes?
Okay. I don't know how many photon torpedoes. I'm fully like
very open.
Yeah, I'm really into this so far. I'm excited to see where this goes. I don't want to destroy it with any photon torpedoes, so I am just going to throw a tractor beam on it and bring it closer to my heart. Does that make any sense? No, probably not.
No, it's fine though.
Okay,
Sarah, how many photon torpedoes?
8 out of 10. I'm
8 out of 10.
It hasn't blown me out of the
she
water.
gets it. She knows how this thing works.
All right, I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 with a little ode to video game ratings. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, whatever, it's fine.
Womp womp.
I'm here for this, but I have some big reservations. So that's where I'm at. All right, y'all, that is it for this week. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
If folks want to find you and the stuff that you do, where might that happen?
So I started my own Star Trek fanzine. It's called Star Trek Quarterly, and you can find it on Facebook. And if you're excited about Star Trek and you want to send me a nonfiction article or short fanfic or art or anything that shows how excited you are about Star Trek, send it to me anytime.
Amazing. And we will link that in the show notes for sure.
Yeah. You said short fanfic. How short is short?
I'd say no more than 2 pages so I can put some photos in there.
That's as I've barely set the stage of me space vaping with Rafi in 2 pages. You're gonna need to. It's gonna have to be serialized, like tickets.
Yeah, can we pitch you right now? Can we do it? Can we do like a little girl gang of space vapors with Rafi?
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Okay. Cool. Go.
Okay, wonderful. I'm into this. We need to do this now. And then we need to like actually film it. And it needs to be another. We need a whole show about space vaping with Rafi. And we could bring on guests. We could bring in Star Trek guests to come vape with us. Oh my God.
This show
okay,
is
we need to become friends with her.
Number one.
I know Will Wheaton. We can get to her somehow through him, right?
Michelle Hurd, take our calls. We're going to start making the calls. You take the calls.
All right, y'all. Join us next time as we come back to discuss episodes 4 and 5 with more wonderful guests. If you like our show or our main show, Feminist Frequency Radio, you can help us keep making it. So head over to patreon.com/femfreak and become a show backer, and you get all kinds of cool shit. Not all kinds. You get, a couple. You get a couple cool things. It should be enough. It's fine. And, rate and review us and all that fun jazz to help other people find us as well. Big thanks go out to our producer, Rob Pera, and to Carrie Stimson for technical support. Our art is by the fabulous Ray Abelar. We will see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.